Welcome back to the Podforce One podcast. I'm Miranda Devine, and today I'm in the Department of Transportation's Central Command Hub, and I'm with Secretary Sean Duffy, who has the enormous task of overhauling America's transit infrastructure. Secretary Duffy, thanks so much for joining Podforce One.
It's great to be with you, Miranda. I appreciate it. Podforce One, such an honor.
Thank you. And we're in this amazing room, the nerve center, I guess, of the department. Tell us what it's all about.
So this is the TOC, is what we call it. So when crisis happens at the Department of Transportation, say like in East Palestine, I wasn't here for that, but this kicks up and we have great communication and a great space to coordinate all of our equities to make sure we can respond effectively. The FAA, which is also under DOT, has their own TOC like this. It's just not quite as, this is a nice space, but again, if you can't see behind the cameras, but there's a lot of space where you can bring people in and be responsive.
And East Palestine, Ohio, was a disaster for the people who lived there. Were you amazed just sitting on the outside seeing your predecessor, Pete Buttigieg, ignored it? The President Biden, didn't go there for months. Donald Trump went there as a candidate, then not in office. He went there to help the people.
So at the time I was working on Fox Business, The Bottom Line, which you came on quite a bit, which I appreciate. And I think we were the first TV show to cover it.
Right.
And the lack of response. And again, half the job is showing up and seeing what's going on, putting your eyes on it, not reading a report, and seeing what people need as they're trying to recover from what, you're right, was a tragic event. But what our mission is now is to learn from what happened in East Palestine and make rules and policy so that we don't have another East Palestine. And that's what we're trying to do right now.
And I mean, your first day as Transport Secretary was just a baptism of fire. Tragedy struck. Tell us what happened.
So I was sworn in on Tuesday night. On Wednesday, J.D. Vance, the Vice President, did another swearing in for me with my whole family. And then that night was when DCA happened. And again, I had just got here. And so we responded. I have a brand new team. We went over with the FAA. We had a good team over there. And
what happened? What happened at DCA? What went wrong?
We had a military helicopter that was doing a training mission, and this has been happening for years, if not decades. You have this flight along the Potomac where military aircraft and other aircraft can fly, and what we were seeing was you have cross traffic between fixed wing aircraft and these helicopters, and the standard procedure was that the helicopter would say that they can see the airplane and they're going to maintain visual separation. There's not active control from the tower on those helicopters. And that's what happened on that night. But obviously the pilot of the helicopter did not see the landing aircraft, and they were flying too far out in the river and they were flying too high. And we had the collision, which by the way has made us take a number of different actions on how the airspace works around DCA. We've closed off, restricted that airspace so helicopters do not fly through that space unless it's the president, the vice president, a law enforcement mission or a life-saving mission. That's it. And if it does happen where someone is going to fly through that space, we shut down air traffic. So you don't have...
That's just common sense. It's
Miranda,
amazing it didn't happen before.
There were 85 near misses in this airspace in the 3 years before this crash. So someone should have seen it.
Yes.
In the last administration, they didn't. Tragedy struck, 67 people lost their lives. And so we've taken action. But not only that, it's important that you say, well, if this happened at DCA, what else is the FAA missing? Where else do we have hotspots like DCA? And so we've started a review, places like New York and LA and Las Vegas, Alaska. So we're using a review, but also AI to see, do we have issues and how do we resolve those issues based on what we learned at DCA?
So can you reassure the American public that there won't be another commercial aviation disaster soon?
No, you can never assure anybody, but I can assure you that flying by airplane, commercial air travel is the safest mode of transportation by far. It's the safest way we move people.
But when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong.
It goes wrong, but a different stat, we lose 40,000 plus people on our roads every year. You don't have that near that kind of loss in aviation. But with that said, what we've seen is there is a need to upgrade our system. It is way too old, and that doesn't mean it's not safe. But what we see is you're starting to see the cracks in the system. You're starting to see blips in communication. And so, listen, this is the mission right now of DOT. Number one mission is to fix air traffic control. I would tell you it's not easy. It's really complicated. But I want to do it. The president wants to do it. The American people want it done. The Congress has partnered with us. And so it's going to cost us $31.5 billion to do it all. We've got $12.5 billion in the big, beautiful bill that's going to help us start the process. But I think we can get it done in, 3-4 years if all goes well.
Fix the air traffic controller problem and modernize the systems?
Yes. So we have money that if I can take a moment, I'll tell you what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So we have telecom. We use copper wires, not fiber.
Because that was the problem with Newark when radar went down, wasn't it? That these very antiquated copper wires instead of using fiber optics.
That's right. So what happened there was the Biden-Buttigieg administration moved what's called the TRACON, which was in New York. They moved it down to Philadelphia.
Why?
Well, because there's been some staffing problems up at N90 in New York, and so they thought they could improve the staffing down if they move it to the Philly TRACON.
Was that a political thing?
I think there's wide agreement on that.
Okay. The
problem was, though, that they didn't test the lines. They didn't make sure it was hardened before they made the move, which led us to these several 30-second outages in telecom, which is it's a problem. And
that's in tracking the planes.
So that's in the communication between the controller and the airplane.
Wow.
And then also the scope, the radar went down for 90 seconds. And it went down for 90 seconds because when they had a 30-second outage, then the scopes that show us the airplanes, they had to reboot. And that took another minute. By the way, we have policies in place if that happens on what redundancies kick in, and we did that. But what we've done is we've laid brand new fiber now. Brand new fiber. We partnered with Verizon. In a month, they laid a brand new fiber line for us. We tested it the next month, and that has stood up. And so we have the telecom issue addressed at Newark, but we have to do this around the country. So we have money to do that. We have radar from the somewhere in the 60s, a lot of them in the 70s, a couple from the 80s. Really old radar. So we're going to upgrade our radar.
I've seen photographs that your offices put out of the mess you inherited, including, desk fans trying to cool down radar and
floppy disks, paper strips. You're right. This stuff is so old.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do the hard infrastructure, get that done with this $12.5 billion. But here's the key. So I don't know how old our audience is, but think back to Windows 95. It's an operating system that at the time in 95, it was great. Like, I can't believe Windows 95 is brilliant.
Yeah.
The operating system that we use to control air traffic, one dates back to 95, another one was from 2000. So it's really, really old.
Yeah.
And we need money from Congress to start the development of a new software system, a common automation platform that's going to help us have a new technology, make it more efficient, make it safer to control our airspace. And the advancements that have been made in the 30 years since you had Windows 95, which by the way, we don't use Windows 95, I use that as an example, has just improved leaps and bounds. And so, but that's going to be part of the brand new system that is going to be deployed. And what's interesting is more people want to travel by plane. We're going to have drones in our airspace delivering you a hot cup of coffee or delivering your Amazon order.
Makes it complicated for you though.
That's more complicated. And then we're going to have what are called eVTOLs, these Ubers in the air that they look like drones, but people are in them. We're going to start moving people around in shorter distances with those. So the airspace is getting more complicated.
Yeah.
The system we're going to build is going to allow us to control that airspace. And also, as new technology becomes available, we're going to be able to build off the system that we are going to create right now. And so as new technology, it's going to be like your iPhone, right? Miranda, I have an iPhone 17 will be the new model. I'm building an iPhone 17 with no apps on it. I'm going to let technology evolve, and we'll put new apps on this phone as technology advances.
Right.
So that's the plan.
Yeah. And I mean, flying has become really degrading experience. You know, there are delays, the airlines are cutting costs. And I always wonder if it's because of the proliferation of private jets mean that the wealthier people who would never put up with that kind of service are now, you know, offline and clogging up the skies. I mean, is there any problem with this private jet travel, and how far can it go?
I don't think so. Again, more people have tried to fly on private aircraft because it has been so bad to fly commercially. And I think if you look at what's happening, one, we have to deal with weather, you have to deal with mechanical issues, but the other part of this has been not only the infrastructure around air traffic control. We've had a air traffic controller, the bodies in the towers. We've had a staffing issue that dates back to the last administration.
Yeah.
And so sometimes the FAA will restrict the airspace, which will mean you're delayed or you're canceled. And we do that because the paramount issue is not that you leave on time. We don't. That's a big deal, but we care about you leaving and getting to where you're going safely. And so we'll restrict traffic if we don't have enough controllers in the tower or there's some issue with our systems. So I think that's the problem. And airlines actually want more people to fly. They want more flights. And so it's not the airlines, it's just that we've let this system get so old and we haven't paid attention to the number of controllers that we have in the system to actually address the increased capacity. We're flying more people now than we were before COVID. So we're also bringing on more air traffic controllers. That's a complicated problem that we're navigating, but we're paying bonuses to get more young, smart people into the academies. We're paying our current controllers bonuses to not retire. And
is that working?
It is working. Again, we've offered, so you have to serve 25 years. So a lot of these, they have to retire by 56. Many of them retire at 50, 51. So I'm giving them a 20% upfront bonus for every year that they stay.
Right.
And a lot of them are staying. And so we want their experience. We want them to stay on it. We're 3,000 controllers short, but we're thinking by the way, we're not doing this by the thousands. I'm doing it by the tens and hundreds to increase the number of controllers. So I think when you fly, you want to make sure your flight's going to go. I make a joke. I think the FAA hates me because it seems like every flight I'm on is delayed or it's canceled. And I'm like, we expect our system to work better. And by the time we leave in 3.5 years, it is going to work a hell of a lot better than it works right now.
And I guess you've had many predecessors who have tried and failed. I mean, a lot of these problems date back to the Reagan administration. Why do you think you're going to be able to do it?
That's a great question. So one of the problems is there's been a lack of vision with the FAA. There's been a lack of funding, sporadic funding. And people didn't really know, maybe they didn't care. But after DCA and after Newark, the American people care about this. The Congress, this is historic, that they gave us $12.5 billion. It's a huge leap of faith for them to say, I think the FAA can do it. So those two things are different. And on top of that, one of the benefits of the DOGE movement has been a lot of really smart people who would never give their time to government have actually said, I'm willing to volunteer my time and I want to come in and make government work more efficiently. And we've been able to pull some really smart people in who love aviation, who want to help us out to help us think differently about how we can do it faster. And just, Miranda, you got to think with this. We're going to upgrade a system, whether it's telecom or radar or this common automation platform. We're going to have to do that while we have airplanes in the air.
Yes.
It gets to be complicated. And
you can't have a day off.
We might not be able to, we're going to take some time off at night as we do the switchover. But that's the smart people we need helping us, and they are. And I think that's what's different. There's a whole of government approach. One other thing, usually the FAA engages with businesses at a mid-management level. What's great is because this is so important for America, American CEOs whose companies partner with us to provide these services, the CEOs are engaging with us. We're not dealing with mid-level management. We're dealing with the CEOs who want to make sure that their companies deliver. It's not just for the FAA, but it's for the president, it's for the American people. And it's great publicity for those who do well. Like Verizon, when they laid a line between Philly and Newark in 30 days, that would never happen before. That would have been a 3-year project.
Yeah.
And here they did it in 1 month. So that kind of support and engagement at the top level is what the difference is.
And you mentioned Doge. Famously, you had a stoush with Elon Musk because he was trying to cut, you're saying, I'm not cutting air traffic controllers. Tell us about that and your perception of what happened with Elon and the president.
Well, so first of all, I get along well enough with Elon.
Well enough.
He has a number of equities that come through DOT.
Yeah.
It's important. Elon or no one else is the secretary. I am.
Yes.
The Senate confirmed me.
Was he trying to muscle in? And
no, I don't know about that. But on this issue, again, I think it might not have been intentional. It might have been ham-handed by some of the requests that were made by Doge. But my position was we are not going to fire air traffic controllers.
Yeah.
This was before DCA. Safety critical positions are not going to be fired within the Department of Transportation. We can do things more efficiently. There is fat that we can cut, but we are not going to fire controllers. And so we had a little back and forth. We got along very well. After that, I think the papers made it a bigger deal than it was. But again, Elon is an amazing innovator. He's creative. And again, there's a lot to learn from him, but I run this department. And again, I didn't want someone on the outside trying to tell me to fire people where had I done that, had I actually fired controllers, think what the liberal media would do to me. I would be slaughtered.
Yeah.
We didn't, thank God. But which is why throughout government, you have to make sure that the secretaries are the ones who are driving the policy.
You know, the other crazy thing I think that you inherited was all this DEI nonsense. Pete Buttigieg, the former transportation secretary, spent $1 billion on trying to stop roads and bridges from being racist. What was that?
So there's a number of things that he did. For example, the Congress sends this department money, and then we give that money out in grants. And what Pete did was he added additional requirements to the grants that we would give out. So if you want a grant from the Department of Transportation, you had to have a very aggressive DEI policy. Or he would say you have to have a really extreme green agenda as part of your proposal to get the grants. Now, Congress never said he had to do that. He just did it himself. And on top of that, it costs more money. It takes more time.
Yeah.
So we pulled all that stuff out. On the racist road front, he had back in the 60s were roads built through communities that might have been of color that separated them. Yeah, that did happen. But there were some proposals to rip out these freeways, to rip out roads because they were racist. I'm like, hey, put a bridge over them, right? Yeah. Or put an underpass under. If you want to connect communities, maybe that's the way you do it. But again, driving policy that there was racism behind roads. He saw racism around every single corner, to the point where in aviation, he was so concerned about this. He did change the name of cockpit to flight deck, because cockpit is too offensive and too masculine, I guess. Or we have NOTAM.
Crazy.
It's notice to airmen. He's like, oh, that's offensive. I need to change it to notice to air mission because it's exclusionary. These are the dumb things that they did. And Miranda, when they did that, the problem is that they weren't paying attention to the main mission of the department, which is safety. And when you have these near misses that happen at DCA between helicopters and planes, you're not focused on that. You're focused on what language we're using around cockpit and flight deck. And so, again, I think they completely missed the boat. And in the end, they passed off a department that needed a lot of attention, and which is what we've given them.
Yeah, that it really is insane. Also, is it true that that Pete Buttigieg prioritized the hiring of people with severe intellectual disabilities and mental illness to be flight controllers?
No, I think what happened there was specifically what they did was you do, and the president agrees with this.
Yeah.
You want the best and the brightest air traffic controllers, the best you can get.
Because it's such a tough job.
It's a tough job. And by the way, it's really hard to figure out who's going to be good at it.
Oh, really?
You could get a baker and a candlestick maker that are great at it, and someone else with a math degree that just doesn't figure it out.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Is it like spatial intelligence? Or?
Yes, they haven't really figured out the best test to do this, but the test we have is the best indicator.
Right.
And so it's the entrance exam. And so you got to take a test.
Is it IQ or what are they measuring?
It's just spatial. It is spatial. It's numbers.
I'd be terrible. Yeah.
So would I. But they lowered the standard from 85% to 80 to be best qualified.
Under Buttigieg.
Under Buttigieg to get these young people into the academy. Well, what happened was they had a substantial washout rate, 30% plus.
Demoralizing for the kids.
Because they couldn't do the work, right? That was number one. And then it took so long. If they go, Miranda, you take the test, you pass it, you got an 82%. It might take you 2 years to get your seat in the academy. Well, if you're 22 years old, you're going to go find a different job.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to stick around. So what we've done is, by the way, this was more complicated than you could imagine. It was hard to get the decks cleared, but we're getting kids, young people, into the academy much faster.
Right.
So in 2 months after you take the entrance exam, we're getting you into the academy. And what we're doing is if you're at 98% on that test, 94, you are going to take the top slots as slots become available. So we're getting the best scores in the academy first. And what we've done with that is we've lowered the washout rate.
Right.
Yes. Which means we can get more young people into towers. Now, once they're in, by the way, it takes them, depending on where they're at, if they're in a not so busy airspace, they can be certified in a year. If they go to really busy airspace, it might take them 3 years. So the problem around the number of air traffic controllers we have is it's going to take us time to see the fruits of our hard labor right now. But we're well on our way to fill in the gaps in air traffic control.
And what sort of people are the air traffic controllers? Because it's such a complicated and important job, and we don't really see behind the sort of into the black box of what they are. Are they stressed? Are they, A-types? What are they like?
Some will say they're stressed. Some will say they're not as stressed.
Yeah.
Some of them are forced in some of the towers or TRACONs to work a lot of hours, and they're forced to work overtime. So that does stress them, and it challenges the work-life balance for them. But I'll tell you this, they care about safety because what they do, they have sometimes hundreds of people in their lives at their disposal in the decisions that they make. And so they take it very seriously. And when you see plane crashes and the controllers that are in the cab making the decisions, even if it wasn't their fault, the mental stress and anguish that's caused to them is very real. And so they take their job seriously. They have a retirement at after 25 years of service. And a lot of them will say, I don't want to stay longer. I am burnt out.
Yeah.
But again, a little extra pay can help them.
Yeah.
You know what? They're patriots too. A lot of them want to see us, bridge the gap. And I think as a patriot, someone who'd wear an American flag pal on their shirt, I think many of them are willing to stay a little bit longer and help us.
I know President Trump told you that if he wasn't president, the job he most wanted was your job, which sort of surprised me. But why is that?
It's not surprising. And I tell you why, because what you know about him is he loves to build.
Right.
He's a builder. And he's a developer and built skyscrapers and resorts and did it remarkably well. It's interesting what he likes. I mean, he really is fascinated and cares about roads and bridges and, what kind of pavement is being used.
Really?
How are we doing it? Are we spending too much money? Are we doing too much? Could we just resurface as opposed to ripping up? Like he's like the way he's such a brilliant thinker and the things he dives into.
Yeah.
So he cares about that part of our project. He also cares about the airspace. So the two things were build big, beautiful roads and bridges. I think he said 20 cents in the dollar. I'm like, I'm not sure I can do 20 cents in the dollar, but
meaning what?
Don't do it more cheaply.
Right.
Don't spend so much money.
So save 20 cents.
No, save 80 cents.
Save 80 cents. Oh, wow.
Spend 20 cents.
Right.
I was like, this is a little tough. But he cares about that and doing it more efficiently.
And if you get rid of regulations, that should make it cheaper and easier.
Yes, that's right. So possibly, I'm going to come back to that. He cares about the airspace too. He talked about that as well before he gave me the job.
Why does he care about the airspace?
He flies.
Yeah.
He talks to pilots.
Yes.
He loves airplanes.
Yes.
And so he knows that the problems that existed, he knew about them before even DCA, before we started this mission.
Yeah.
He was aware of that. But
And just that first night, DCA, and you had to go on television and, you just didn't know anything about the job really. But you were very calm, cool and collected. And I think President Trump, I think everyone felt reassured by your demeanor. But did President Trump reach out to you at that time?
So he was, I was talking to the Situation Room. I did talk to the president and he was engaged from the beginning, which is really helpful. And had a great response. The federal and the state and the local response was wonderful.
Give you any messages to impart to the public, or
he wanted to know what happened,
right?
And so
was he angry?
No, I think he was. Maybe some people don't see him as being very sensitive. I felt like he was struck by the number of people who had died. And I'll just be frank with you. One of the hard parts with that night was what I knew and what I could say.
Yeah.
And that was incredibly hard. And I talked to some of the family. This is why this mission is so important. I talked to some of the families the next day. And you do not want to talk to families who went to the airport to pick up a loved one and might have been texting with them on the airplane as they're about to land. They never show up. If I'm going to do all I can to make sure that never happens again, to a next set of families, to the next secretary, and doing our job truly impacts people's lives. And the American Airlines families have rallied together in a really unique way, and they're committed to the mission of safety. Right. But it's that part of it is. You don't want to do that. No. You don't want to have to go through that. And if you can prevent it, you want to. And I think there was an emotional side to the president in regard to the families who had lost their lives. And then he wanted to know what happened. What caused this crash and how do we fix it? Because he's interested. He doesn't wallow. He in all kinds of spaces, he's like solution driven. So it was both sides of him, the sensitive side, but then also we got to fix this. What was it?
And the curiosity side.
Yeah. And we didn't have all the information at that point. No. I had some of it, but not all of it. Yeah. And so, again, as we've gone forward, he's wanted to know more about it.
Because it was such a freak accident. And I think he went straight to DEI, woman pilot, whatever. I mean, was that fair?
If we're making decisions on who gets into cockpits and we put our lives in their hands, even the liberals who love DEI, they don't want their pilot to be DEI. They don't want their controller to be DEI. They want the best controller. They want the best pilots.
They want merit.
They want merit-based.
Yeah.
That's right. And so that's the issue. I think, again, if it's not good enough for me, why should it be good enough for any other American? And so that's what I think the real takeaway from what the president said is get the best people in these positions, because if they're not, people lose their lives.
Yeah. And your relationship with the president, I mean, you've known him for years. I mean, you've been an interviewer and anchor on Fox News, so you've interviewed him. Has your relationship changed since you've become, I guess, he's your boss now?
He's my boss. And by the way, I couldn't have a better boss, a more engaged boss. What I think is, I've had a chance to spend, so I was with him in Trump 1. I was in Congress. I was very supportive in 2016. Right. Yeah. And I would go on CNN and MSNBC. And I was one of like 4 members of Congress that were really aggressively supporting him because I loved his vision. Yeah. What I've seen when I get to work up close with him is the brilliance about how he thinks about things. And I've seen enough politicians and how they think about what I can do and what I can't do, not what I should do. He does what he should do to make America stronger and safer, and the politics be damned. He's willing to break through all kinds of things to make sure the American people are treated right and treated well. I have an issue right now that I'm dealing with Canada on and Mexico on, different than what he's dealing with Canada and Mexico on. And
on airspace or something.
When I bring things up to him, it's like, what's the right thing to do? And he says, go do it. Go do it. And I think his gut is remarkable. Some people might say, I can't believe he did. And then you wait 3 days and it's like, the president was right. his gut is really good on
And he's
how,
almost superstitious about following his instinct, isn't he?
I don't know about the superstitious, but his instinct is usually right.
Yeah.
And again, you can play clips back from him on what he said, how the media went after him, and how in the end Donald Trump is usually right because his gut is. And I don't know why his gut is so good, but it is really good. And so what my point with that is, he makes decisions. He doesn't wallow and think, and he gets an impression, he gets a gut reaction, and he makes a decision. There are a few things he'll want to wait on, he'll take some time on, but a lot of times his gut is really good and usually right. So I love that leadership. You know what? It's decisive leadership.
Yeah.
Decisive decisions.
And so let's go back to your previous life in politics, and that was you were a congressman for Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And you gave all that up because you had now 8 children and your beautiful wife, Rachel Campos Duffy, who is a star Fox anchor. She was pregnant with your 9th child and she got some news.
Yeah, so she, so this will be our 9th baby. And just to be really fair, if you let your husband be a member of Congress and you have 8 kids, the workload that falls on you is substantial.
Yes.
And she was carrying most of the home life as I was out serving my constituents. And I think it was in April or May, she had gone to an ultrasound. I was in Washington. She called me after and told me that she had got a diagnosis that our baby was going to have Down syndrome. And I was like, this is great. Because everyone I know has Down syndrome, or any parents who've had Down syndrome children, they've been incredibly pleased. They're joys in their life. So that was not a hit for me.
Right.
Really, I knew it'd be different.
Yeah.
But I wasn't upset. Well, then in, I think, July.
And then Valentina also, I think you knew was going to have heart issues as well.
In July, we found out that she was going to have heart issues. And at that point, I'm like, you know what? My job is to my family. And I think this is too much. And so I decided to leave early. We had a number of issues going on, and I thought this, because when you're gone from home, and this military men and women see this, maybe truck drivers see it, you see it in Congress. If you're gone a lot, there's something misses when mom or dad is gone too much. And I had been gone for 9 years, and so I thought, you know what, this is my main job is to raise my kids. And by the way, when I'm on my deathbed, hopefully decades away. Will I go, I passed that bill, or I won with 68% of the vote? Like, no, it's like, I was a good dad.
Yeah.
I raised my kids. I did the best that I could. And so I resigned.
Was that a wrench?
To resign?
Yeah.
I cried like a baby.
Did you?
I did. I was heartbroken. I love my job. I love being a member of Congress. And though I made the right decision, I did a couple of speeches, Miranda, for like a week after. I think people just asked me, like I announced, and then there was a speech the next night for the local senator, who is actually now the member of Congress there. They asked me to come to the event, and I stood up and I think I spoke for 12 seconds, and I started crying. And they applauded, and I laughed. I couldn't. I know I love the job, but I made the right decision. And I'll tell you, Rachel was she wanted me to stay. She said I can do it. And in the end,
was that? I
think she loves the service. She's from Arizona, but loved Wisconsin, and
probably didn't want to see you give up something that you loved.
That I loved, yeah. And but now she would say you made the right decision. And so,
did you have any plans of what you would do?
No,
really.
So here's I have.
So 9 kids and no job, really.
When you're in Congress, you have 2 schedulers.
Yeah.
And one in your district and one in DC. I had like every 15 minutes to half an hour scheduled in my life.
Right.
Full. And I resigned, and I had nothing on my calendar. I think I had a dentist appointment
that
on my
might
calendar.
Have been quite nice.
It was
quite liberating.
No, it actually was. It stressed me out. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And so, and then our baby came a month early. So I got out like a week later. The baby came early.
Right.
And it was chaotic. And at that point, I signed with CNN. I went to CNN. I signed a 2-year contract.
Right.
And only did a year of it. CNN was a little harder on me. I think Fox treats liberals way better than CNN was treating conservatives at that time.
What did they do?
This, they would take clips of me who work for them, and they'd run them and attack me. And I'm like, I'm in the family. Like, we don't do that. Like you want people to debate. Like debates are good. You want two sides that can have a conversation. In Fox, you might have 3-on-1. Yeah. And at CNN, you might have the vice versa, 3 liberals on one. But it's a good debate. It makes good TV. Yeah. They would come after me even after I was off the air and run clips and attack me. And I thought that was just, that's mean. It's mean. It is mean. So luckily, after a year, I left. And a week later, I signed with Fox and found my ride home. And then Fox was good to me. And by the way, Fox is, and you're in the building, they support families. They've supported Rachel through all of, well, not all of them, but the later babies. They've been very supportive. And so
she's a superstar.
They walk the walk and they talk the talk. Yeah. It's really wonderful. And so she is the rock star and superstar of our home. She makes it all happen. Even now, with this job, so we live in New Jersey now because it's closer to the Fox studio. I'm down here 5 days a week. And in those first weeks, I was down here for like weeks on end. Yeah. And she does Fox and Friends Weekend. She does Noticias, which is a Spanish show, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Oh, right. And she's managing all the kids as I'm here doing the service at DOT and get the great privilege of working in the administration. And none of it happens but for an amazing wife.
Yeah. And I mean, you sacrificed your congressional career for the family. She also sacrificed, didn't she, back when you moved to Wisconsin? And she had a very promising television career ahead of her. Yeah.
So we, by the way, we both met on reality TV. So
I was going to get to that.
She did MTV's The Real World, the San Francisco season. So the young people, they probably don't know this, but us older people will. It was very popular. She did the San Francisco season with Puck and Pedro, and she was there, and I did a later season.
That was one of the first reality TV shows, wasn't it? And what was the premise? You put a whole lot of young people in it.
It was the first reality TV show in America. Oh, right. And so what the premise was, they would take 7 people from wildly different walks of life and make them live in a house together. And what they found out is you'll get drama, you'll get conflict, because we actually hang out with and associate with people who are very much like us.
Yes.
With the same backgrounds, maybe the same philosophy. But if you make people live together who have nothing in common, you'll get great storylines. Yes. Which, by the way, what I found is I have way more in common with the people who I thought had so many things that I was separated from. I had way more in common with them, which was a great lesson.
That's a good lesson.
It is a really good lesson.
For a politician, especially.
We had a lot more than I would have thought.
You were in the Boston version?
I was in the Boston version. Yeah. So 7 people come together. They film for 6 months. It was a really popular show at the time. And then they had a secondary show, which was called Road Rules, where they put 5 people in a Winnebago and they traveled around and did missions across the country. Right. What they decided to do is take 1 member from each of the prior Real World seasons and have those people come together and do Road Rules. And they picked her from her season, me from my season. And so I actually met her on tape. Wow. Right. So she got off a train.
Do you remember the first meeting?
Yeah. Because and I have it on tape too, but she came off and she handed me her bag and she got off the train.
And what did you think?
I'm going to carry her bag from now on. Right. Listen, I was attracted to her right away.
Yeah. How old were you?
I was 25.
Right.
I tried my best effort. Listen, I've had really bad hair and bad glasses, and I'm from Wisconsin. And I tried my best, and I made some progress getting her to like me. And what happened is several months after the show, she was flying through Minneapolis where I was in law school. She had done a speech in Milwaukee, had to fly through Minneapolis, and she decided she would stop over and see me and just make sure we're all good. And I picked her up at the airport and I took her out to breakfast at the Uptowner in St. Paul. And we sat there for probably 2.5 hours or 3 hours. We had breakfast and had coffee. And at the end of it, Miranda, she's like, "I'm going to marry you." To which I was like, "Whoa, Daddy."
Were you dating?
No.
She just said hilarious.
she's going to marry me. And I was like, "This is crazy."
Why did she say that?
I don't know. She said, "You know what?"
That's amazing.
She said, "I think lovers, people who, they should be able to sit and have a cup of coffee for 3 hours like it's seamless." And we had that together, and that we can sit and do this is something special. She had a tragic car crash where everyone in all the cars died. She was the only one who survived. And I think that will probably change the way you think about life and marriage and what I'm doing. So that probably has
Don't waste a moment.
And so, so that's how that.
And what was your reaction when she said, "Are we going to get married?" Like, you're a 25-year-old man. Was that scary?
Shocking, a little bit scary. A little bit like you're cray cray. But then, you know what? It was.
How did you finish that breakfast?
Did
you go?
I think I definitely bring her back I don't know if I had to bring her back to the airport or if she came back.
But were you like, I don't want to talk about this?
No, I was like, listen, I wanted to date her.
Oh,
I didn't know that I wanted to marry her. I wanted to date her at that time.
Yeah.
And so we, then we dated ever since. And we got married a year and a half after that. But to your original question, what happened was, before we got married, The View was doing on-air live auditions.
Right.
The same View, Barbara Walters was on at the time. They brought her to audition live on the show. And so she was doing like once a week coming on The View.
Oh, right.
And she was one of the finalists, and Lisa Ling ended up getting the show, but very promising. I mean, this was a huge challenge of who was going to get that seat.
Yeah.
So she had.
It was a hot show then.
Hot show, and her star was elevating. And we, by the way, at that time, we were like, where are we going to live? And so we made a deal where I said, if you get the View, I'll move to New York, which I was not interested in moving. I was a small town Wisconsin guy. But I said, if you don't get it, you got to come to Hayward, Wisconsin, size 2,000 people. Right. If you don't get it. Yeah. And she ended up coming to Hayward, Wisconsin. We had a couple babies. She then went back and auditioned again on The View when Lisa Ling left. And she did that, and at the end, Elizabeth Hasselbeck got the seat. Oh, wow. But but there's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. And what's interesting is she sacrificed her career for my advancement. Yeah. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm not being generous to her. I would not be here without her. Yeah. And she was, again, very smart. And I think we complement each other. We have different skills. And so when I was a DA, when I ran for Congress, I had just me and her. I had like one consultant that I didn't pay that would help us, but it was me and her. I ran. It was crazy town, and it could have never happened without the brilliance and intelligence that she has to help, whether it's on the media side, on the commercial sides, on the messaging side, op-ed side. Like she was just really integral.
She's always seems to be very cheerful, very upbeat, very optimistic.
She is. And what's really interesting is since she helped judge my career, and then after that, her career has really taken off at Fox. And so when I left Congress, it was somewhat my time to go, okay, I'm going to be supportive. I'm going to manage some of the family as you're able to pursue your dream. And if I'm going to tell you this, and she might shoot me, but when she was like, I'm going to do Fox and Friends. And I'm like, you're not going to be able to do Fox and Friends. Like you can't do Fox. And she reminds me of that all the time now. And of course she did it for the first time and she was great at it. And
why did you think that she?
Because I'd never seen it. Yeah. Right. I'd seen her do hits, right? I'd seen her do the hits, but I'd never seen her actually host a show. Anchor, yeah. Right. Never. And back in the day, I'd seen her do the View, but anyway, I hear about that a lot. But obviously I think her blessing is that she doesn't really have a filter. That can be a blessing or a curse. She says what she thinks. Yeah. The president loves her too because not because she doesn't graciously give praise or support to people she doesn't believe in, and probably out of almost everybody on TV, she has consistently been supportive of him. Mm-hmm. And even when he's not in the script or in the segment, she would bring him up because so many things, even after the 2020 election, would revolve back to Trump. Yeah. And I think he appreciated that from her. Yeah. In her honesty and her honest support of what he had done and what he was doing and that he was going to come back and be the president again.
I was struck by a photograph that was taken in the Oval Office after you were sworn in. All your family was there, and there was little Valentina, your Down syndrome girl, with the president, and he was so sweet to her. He seemed to really be struck by her.
He's so good with. Listen, the president. It's very interactive, right? And you have to be good with people. Yeah. And people who don't have good personalities and good social intelligence, they'll never make it in that level of politics. And yeah, he grabbed her, put her on his lap. Right. And then when we took the picture, so as in President Trump style, right, he has his hands up on the Resolute desk for the picture. And then she's standing right next to him and she sees his hands on the desk. And so my little Valentina is the one who has Downs. She comes up alongside him, this little thing, and And she puts her hands on the desk next to him, and we have this great picture of the two of them. Again, that's just who he is I think as a human being and as a president. And by the way, as a friend, he's been really good to my family and to Rachel. But again, it goes back to she has been able to do this and now have this great career and a job that she loves.
How, for both of you, you came from a family of 11. You're the 10th of 11, and she's from a family of 4, which was
underachievers.
So tell us about your upbringing, your childhood, and what it was like to be the 10th. I mean, were you forgotten and left to your own devices?
So what I find is I will talk fast and try to get in. And it comes back to being a little boy in the family where you can't get a word in edgewise. Because I was the 10th, that's one of the issues that comes into play. But in any big family, in ours as well, the parents are far more stressed out with the older kids, and you're a new parent at that time, and you're not perfect, and you make mistakes. And but as you get a little older and more experienced in parenting, you have you're a better parent, but also you have more time. So my parents had more time with me. And I'll see that right now we have 9. I see that too. I have more time than I did, 20 years ago with the younger kids. But I grew up in small town Wisconsin. I got to go to the lake in the summer, and not boats really, but we'd swim and we'd fish. I would go do lumberjack sports. I'd go to log roll.
You were a bit of a superstar as a lumberjack, weren't you?
I won the 90-foot and 60-foot speed climbs, which is kind of the bull riding of the rodeo.
Wow.
So we would, but I love these sports, but I do that in the summer. And then I played hockey in the winter. And I think it was a wonderful upbringing. And I think there's something, again, someone who's raised in New York or in DC will say how wonderful that is. And I'm sure it is. I just really appreciate,
especially for a boy,
the kind of people,
healthy outdoor stuff.
Yeah, we'd go explore in the back of our house, and there's a lot of room to run around. There's probably less concerns of all the bad things that were happening in cities around the country at that time versus rural America. And so again, you can open the door. By the way, we didn't lock our doors at night. We left our keys in the car. Take
Those
them out.
were the days.
People won't steal anything. So I loved my upbringing. And
your parents must have been amazing. I mean, your mum especially. I mean, to have 11 kids.
She was fantastic, and she was a great athlete.
Really?
And even after having 11 kids, she was. We lost her last summer, almost a year ago. Almost in the next couple of days.
I'm sorry.
She was a remarkable woman, and I think my wife had a different affection for her. My mom, after she had 9 kids, and she goes like, I now know what your mom did. And listen, it's never perfect, and some kids will complain, and some of it wasn't perfect.
Of course.
And you get all of that, but I think there was a bond there when you have a lot of kids and you have to manage it.
And what's the advantages for you of being one of a big family? And I guess you've given that to your kids. You must have liked it.
I think I'm a good compromiser. I think I know how to.
Humility, maybe.
Yeah, I know how to communicate.
Yes.
But the human, I don't do well with arrogance with people around me, or I don't think it's. I don't think it serves people well. So I like humble people. I like honest people, and so.
Does it give you confidence? Social intelligence?
I think social intelligence more than confidence.
Why is that?
Because you need to know how to navigate people. You have to navigate your family, and you started very young.
Yes.
And
competition and all that.
Well, also you're competing for attention. You're competing for food. You're competing and you have to learn how to navigate that at a very early age. And so I think social intelligence has been helpful. And it was nice. I was able to get extra help from my parents. I was able to do more things with my parents because of where I was. And so again, I think even in life, I think they taught me. I failed a lot. I truly did. When I was tree climbing, I wanted to be a great tree climber. I was not good. I worked really hard at it, and I ended up winning. When I became a prosecutor and a lawyer, I did a number of trials, and Miranda, I was horrible. It was not good. It was embarrassingly bad. But I knew that I had to learn how to do this. And
you were a DA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before I was in private practice before I was a DA, and I did a couple mental commitment trials, they're bad. Some of my first DA trials, not good.
Right. What's a mental commitment trial?
So if someone is alleged to have a mental disease or defect, they have a right to a jury trial. It's a 6-person jury trial. So are you going to commit someone?
Right.
You're entitled to a trial.
Yeah.
Before you have a forced commitment.
Yeah.
But I spent the time on it. When I left, I was one of the best prosecutors in my region.
Right.
And the skill set I learned, because I didn't give up after having such failure, was the skills I learned helped me run for Congress. You have to think on your feet. You have to be able to communicate. You have to, be able to respond to questions. So again, I think a lot of times today, our kids fail and they quit, or they're afraid of failures. They don't try. And I think, and I don't know what your experience is, but I think trying to do big things and not being afraid to fail is okay. You cannot be successful, but what's key is, what do I learn and do I come back?
Everyone fails at some point.
Everyone fails, and if you don't, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost like in marriage, right? I hear some married couples go like, me and my spouse, we never fight. I'm like, oh, that's a problem.
Yes.
You should fight.
Yes.
Because, and again, you should work through your problems. Otherwise, you just ball it all up, and then there's explosions and divorces. You got to fight, and you got to fail, and that's how I think you become successful.
And your Catholic faith, you were brought up in a Catholic family, and how important's your Catholic faith been?
Well, so growing up, I was the 10th of 11, as you mentioned. So we were Catholics.
Yes.
We went to church every Sunday.
Yeah.
And then for us, listen, we go to church every Sunday. I'm a Catholic. We have 9 kids. We follow the teachings of the Catholic Church. And by the way, I think there's no greater joy. Again, I'm not going to say it's easy.
Yeah.
Kids can be hard. Listen, it takes money and time. And I don't sit back on a Saturday afternoon and, go get lattes. And, I don't go to Florida on vacations on the weekend. And I wouldn't trade any of that for having, this little brood of kids.
Yeah.
And I think having kids, getting married young, having kids, that is the joy that you'll have in your life if you actually do that.
How do you, with that big family, how do you actually manage to get on a plane or, travel around the country?
So, by the way, we are going to do, so the president has tasked all the departments with Celebrating America 250.
Yes.
So at DOT, we are going to do the Great American Road Trip.
Right.
We have ours coming. Our first one we're going to do next month, but we have a lot of things that are going to happen around it. Listen, what's great is, if you think back to your childhoods, so many people went on road trips with their parents. Yeah. And there's, whether you just went camping for a weekend or you drove to Florida or you went to the Wisconsin Dells, the road trip was such a great experience. And maybe in the moment you're fighting and you're hitting each other and don't touch me. But as you think back on those, it's like, these are great family moments. And I think
trapped in a car for hours.
Trapped in a car. And now there's all of these phones.
Yes.
And it's a time that if you can get your kids to put the phone down and bond together, and by the way, our country is so beautiful. Pick places to go see. Yeah. So we want to encourage people to do the road trip. But for us, it's helpful when you have so many. The older ones are really helpful with the younger ones.
Yes.
I couldn't take 5-year-olds on a plane. Right?
How old's your oldest?
25.
25, right.
So I'm 25. Valentina is 5.
Right.
My oldest 2 are married. And in a car, so I have a Suburban. And I wasn't going to get a big Catholic van. I don't know what those are, but
people move.
So people move it, right?
So how many can you fit in that?
So I have a bench seat, so I can fit 8.
8, right.
So I can't fit us all. Yeah. And so sometimes when everyone's home, I'll have to take 2 cars. If we go to church over Christmas, we take 2 cars to church.
And then you've got the husbands and the...
Yeah, when they come along. Yeah. So we're 11 total, then add a couple of spouses in there, we're 13. Yeah. By the way, if you buy an airline ticket and it's like, $30 price difference, not a big deal. If I'm on the hook to buy all the tickets, well, a $30 price difference is $330 difference or a $100 difference in prices. You start to talk about real money when you start to buy so many tickets. And we don't do it all the time, but we've got a couple of trips. We went to a few of us went. My daughter was in Italy last year, and we went to the Vatican, and
that must have been amazing.
It was fun. Yeah, and it's great, but they're good travelers. They're good travelers, and they're interested in seeing the world whenever we can take them.
Well, now I'll just ask you 2 last questions. One is NASA. The president, give a busy man a job. You've now been tasked with running NASA as well. Yeah. What do you doing about that? And is there anything exciting on the horizon?
So I just had my first official day yesterday, which I testified in the House. At the House for 4.5 hours. So I went and visited it last week. I'm going over tomorrow. I can't tell you what, so everyone in America knows what the Apollo program was. We were going to go to the moon.
Yeah.
No one knows what the Artemis program is. We want to go back to the moon. We want to set up a base there, keep people on the moon. And there's actually, we have ice on the moon. It's actually very real.
Make water and live there properly.
That's right. And then from there, what we learn will help us go to Mars. And so that's how that's structured, how we do it is really important. The funding that it's going to take to make that happen. I guess
exciting the American people about it, because no one, as you said, has heard of Artemis.
They need to know about it, right? Someone has to sell it. So
living on the moon, that's exciting.
That's right. We'll have a base camp on the moon.
Yeah.
And again, so I think that's an important part, because no one knows what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
We're going to need a new space station. How we're going to do that.
Really?
Ours is in 2030, 2031, the International Space Station is going to come down. So there's some big things, but what I'm going to do is I have to get in and start having a lot of conversations and a lot of briefings.
Because NASA's it's gone downhill since the Challenger disaster, really, hasn't it? And outsourced a lot. Elon Musk saved those astronauts, or brought them back anyway, because NASA couldn't.
Well, I think what's interesting is the commercial space component in America, whether it's Blue Origin or it's SpaceX, or there's a lot of others.
Yeah.
They're doing things way more cost effectively and efficiently than NASA would if it's a NASA project. And that's, again, we have to have those partners. And so I think NASA can do a lot of the funding, but how do we, if we're going to actually be successful at this mission, you can't have each mission cost $5 billion. Right. Because you don't have to take 10, 15, I mean, you have tons of missions.
Yes.
The taxpayers are going to say no. If we can get it down like what Elon has done, and this is, we want massive competition. We want a lot of companies involved. But what he has done with SpaceX, and he's cut costs dramatically on what it takes to get satellites or people into space. We want to see that same kind of corporate engagement and that same kind of involvement at NASA. And so here's what's important. You're like, well, what do you do? You're NASA. What do you mean?
Yeah.
You need a secretary who's been Senate confirmed to make the decisions. If we wait 6-8 months for an administrator, they'll wait 6 or 8 months to make decisions, which means we're 6 to 8 months behind those who are competing with us to get to the moon.
Right.
And so
China.
He said, that's right.
Yeah.
And so that's the purpose So
it's really a national security issue.
100%.
Yeah.
Listen, this is 100% a national security issue. The space is peace, but people can use it for nefarious purposes. And I think it's important that we continue to lead. But it takes vision. You got to sell the American people on it.
Because people are bored now.
They are bored. You know, but if you look back when Elon brought the astronauts back, we had 2 days of wall-to-wall coverage of what was going to happen. And my complaint to NASA was everybody was watching what was happening. Who went out and sold Artemis?
Yes.
Who went out and sold the vision of NASA? Like I didn't hear any of that. Like, let's sell it.
Yes.
And if the American people agree, like you're going to get the money for it. If they don't agree, the program will die. But they should know what we're doing there. And so part of the mission is to sell the vision of where we're going, and why are we going, right? We are explorers, right? Americans are.
Yes.
That's in our blood. It's in our heart.
The frontier.
It is. And I think who controls space is going to control Earth.
Right.
And so we have to make sure we continue to make advancements. And so for me, I'm honored that the president would have given me the privilege and the honor to take NASA for this short time and make sure we're making the right decisions to keep these programs moving. Yeah. And so we don't fall behind.
That's exciting. Last question. I ask everybody this, and you yourself are successful and you're around and met and interviewed a lot of successful people. What is the secret to people being successful?
I'm going to go back to what I said before, which is I think if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough, right? You need to have big dreams. You have to work hard. I think a lot of people think that you can be successful and, just some people are lucky and some people aren't. No, you have to work hard at your success. And then you can't be afraid to fail. I have failed time and time again. And sometimes it's embarrassing. And sometimes it's public failing. But you got to get back on your horse and you got to ride and you got to push through. And I think if you do that, you try really hard and you're not afraid to fail and you have big dreams, you'll be successful. And one of the things I think sometimes for young people, they have an idea of what they want to be. I want to be a pilot. My dad was like, no, I don't think you should be a pilot. I flew model airplanes when I was young. I love airplanes.
But look at you now.
So now I came back full circle and I get the FAA and NASA. But I do think you have to be open to changing, what do I want to do? You can't lock into that 8-year-old's dream. It's okay to change course and think about what you're passionate about. And I also think, like you, going to work and loving what you do is not work.
Yes.
It's part of life, but it's like to love what you do,
as
opposed to being in the grind, like watching the clock and like, when can I retire? And I think finding a space that can make you happy, can satisfy you and gives you joy in your work is more important than the money you make off it.
Thank you very much, Secretary
Miranda,
Duffy. Great
thank you
to
for
talk
having
to you.
me. My pleasure.
Thank you for joining us at Podforce One. I'm Miranda Devine. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.